Good night, everyone. My name is Amira Salazar. I am a teacher in training, and in this opportunity, I would like to explain the difference between formative and summative assessment and how to identify them. First, uh, I'm going to define what is assessment. Assessment is an ongoing process that measures different aspects of teaching process. This is important because assessment helps to determine many features. For example, if students have any difficulties, for example, if students have achieved the objectives of learning, or maybe it can be helpful for teachers because it shows which techniques are more useful for teaching process. There are two kinds of assessment: formative assessment and summative assessment. Formative assessment is an ongoing process when we apply different tools or techniques to help to improve learning. Formative assessment in a general way are all the activities that we do in classes. For example, teachers can assess many aspects, such as students' response, comments, typing out new words, structures, fluency, group work, and other activities that they do with their students. This kind of assessment may be incidental or intended. Teachers usually use observation. They can use observation, or maybe they can ask students some questions to know if they have understood the topics. This process, this kind of assessment helps to modify future teaching plans and constitute the basis for feedback to students. On the other side, summative assessment is used to measure what students have achieved. It is applied at the end of the diagnostic time, at the end of the period. It could be a year, a semester, a month, or other kind of period. One typical example of this kind of assessment are tests. They focus more on grades, and they try to stratify students. Teacher needs grades in order to promote their students to a high level. And one example of summative assessment, as I say before, are tests. Other difference about these two kinds of assessment are formative assessment check the level of students' engagement, instead of summative assessment is about the level of achievement in a specific learning context. Formative assessment gives us to the next step to take and help both teacher and students to explore the different ways to reach the teaching objectives. Instead of summative assessment is often transformed into points or raising benchmark for students and their families. The information provided from the formative assessment must fit the instructional model and it takes account the needs of the students. Instead, the summative assessment are the evaluation taking on at the end of the didactic period, and to compare. The objective is to compare the result with a format, with a standard, and place the student in a certain level. I would like to clarify that there are many examples of summative assessment as well for formative summative ones. For example, in formative assessment, we have a class discussion, clicker questions, standardized test, group works, and questionnaires. Group works, pair works, and other activities that teacher and students do in classes. But for example, in summative assessment, we have a final essays, final presentations, final reports, tests, maybe assignments, task assignments, and other kinds of activities that will be great. In order to finalize my speech, I would like to read this quote. When the cook tastes the soup is formative assessment. When the customer tastes the soup, this is summative assessment. I think it's good sentences to summarize what these two kinds of assessment are. Thank you.
Sí, existirá la palabra.